If you follow mainstream media, you'll likely hear a very specific narrative about Islam and women. The story usually goes that the religion inherently oppresses them, treating them as second-class citizens. But when you look at the actual demographics of who is choosing to enter the faith today, a glaring contradiction emerges. In the United States, 4 out of every 5 converts to Islam are women. In the United Kingdom, that number sits right around 75%. Take the late singer Sinead O'Connor. Known globally as a fierce advocate for women's rights, she eventually converted to Islam after reading the theology for herself and bypassing the exact misconceptions broadcast on the evening news. To understand why, we have to look at the historical baseline. Before the 7th century, newborn daughters were routinely buried alive out of shame. And even hundreds of years later, in 18th century Europe, marriage laws stripped women of their property rights, and husbands could legally sell their wives at the market. If Islam were actually a tool designed to subjugate women, we would expect modern, educated women in the West to run entirely in the opposite direction. The fact that they make up the vast majority of converts suggests they are finding a profound value system the media has entirely ignored. The shift began in the year 632. Standing before over 100,000 people during his farewell sermon, the Prophet Muhammad publicly declared that women are a divine trust from God, and that men have strict, unbreakable obligations toward them. He completely eradicated the practice of female infanticide. Instead of daughters being a source of shame, he established a new standard. Any man who raises his daughters with love and respect guarantees his own place in paradise. This chart shows how the legal restructuring of marriage works. Islam introduced the Mahr, a mandatory, non-refundable financial gift given directly to the bride. On top of that, the husband is legally required to bear 100% of the household's financial burden. Because the husband pays for housing, food, and care, the wife's wealth, including her mahr and earned income, remains entirely hers. She is freed from survival labor, giving her capital to invest, save, or pursue education. We can see the result of this financial empowerment in figures like Fatima al-Fihri. Using her own inherited wealth, she founded Al-Qarawiyyan University in Morocco, recognized today as the oldest existing continually operating university in the world. By establishing these specific mandates, the faith provided a legally binding framework of financial and social independence, milestones the West wouldn't reach for over 1,000 years. Yet, questions always arise around certain practices, starting with the hijab. While it's often framed as a restriction on women, the Quran actually commands men to observe modesty first, explicitly instructing them to lower their gaze before it ever addresses women's attire. It's a dual-layered system. By requiring mutual modesty, the framework protects marriages from creeping distrust, and it physically shields women from a society built to constantly evaluate and objectify their bodies. The other major Western critique centers on domestic discipline, specifically Chapter 4, verse 34 of the Quran. To understand this, we have to look at the linguistic and theological context provided by scholars like Dr. Zakir Naik. The controversy hinges on the Arabic word daraba. While critics translate it as physical abuse, textual evidence and prophetic tradition clarify it means a light, symbolic tap. Scholars note this tap is traditionally demonstrated using a small twig, like a miswak or a folded handkerchief. Striking the face, leaving a mark, or causing actual physical pain is explicitly forbidden. These restrictions function as a series of physical boundaries. By strictly limiting the expression of anger and explicitly forbidding harm, the legal framework shifts the marital dynamic away from the threat of violence and toward a requirement for restraint and the preservation of dignity. In 1789, the English writer Lady Elizabeth Craven traveled through the historical landscape of Istanbul. Coming from a society where women had few rights, she was stunned by what she found. She described the Muslim women there as the happiest creatures, noting their extensive freedom, property rights, and total protection from public slander. Compare that historical reality to what we see today. Even now, modern society struggles to close the gender pay gap, relentlessly pushes impossible beauty standards, and leaves millions of women to bear the heavy, isolated burden of single motherhood. The difference lies in the source of the laws. The Islamic framework wasn't drawn up by men looking to consolidate power. It is based on a system designed by a creator who is neither male nor female, resulting in laws that are completely free from human gender bias. Modern women aren't converting to Islam to be oppressed. They are studying the texts, looking past the cultural noise, and finding a system that values them inherently as equal spiritual beings, delivering the exact dignity and liberation the modern world promised but so often fails to provide.